Hello, Year 7. I hope that you're all well. I hope you're having a lovely Christmas. You've all had a lovely, relaxing time, and now you're ready to come back and work really hard for us in chemistry. Okay, so my name is Mr. Barker. While we're teaching remotely, I'm going to be making the lessons for you. If you have any questions about the lessons, please do get in touch with either me at christopher.barker@emmanuel.org.uk or with your chemistry teacher. Either of us should be able to help you out if you've got any questions. Um, Most of you would expect to be doing a particle theory test this week. Unfortunately, as you are away, you're not going to be able to do that. Okay, you'll do that probably the first week that you get back, but it might be worth talking to your teachers about when that's going to happen. My set, you will be doing it the week you get back. Instead of that, then, we are going to start the new topic. It's called solutions and solubility. And today we're going to look at solutions. Okay, so by the end of today's lesson, you're going to know what is meant by these key terms. You've got solvent, solute, solution, saturated solution, suspension, soluble, and insoluble. Okay, so hopefully you've all downloaded the worksheets that you need from the Firefly page. If you haven't done that, I would do that now so that you've got them ready. If you've got your experiment book, you don't need to download the experiment book pages. It's just in case you didn't have it. What I've also done for you guys, I know that you don't have textbooks at home, which is a bit rubbish. So what I've done for you is the textbook pages that we would have been using today, they're on this slide as you can see, but I've also put them on the Firefly page as well. So at the end of the lesson, if you maybe have 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it might be worth just giving it a read through. And you can also try as well the questions down in this corner here, just as a bit of a stretch sort of exercise. Let's get started then. So we're going to start by introducing 3 key terms. So what I'd like you to do is write the date and title inside your exercise book, please. Or if you're working on OneNote, if your teacher lets you do that on OneNote. The title is going to be Solutes, Solvents and Solutions. Okay, so these are 3 definitions that you need to know. The first, we're actually going to start with the word solution. It's probably a term that you've come across before. Now, the definition that I'd like you to write down in your exercise book, please. A solution is a mixture of a solute dissolved into a solvent. Okay, and that's actually a GCSE definition that you need to know. Now, the example I've given you here is copper sulfate solution. It's that lovely blue solution that we've got down here. Okay, it's a mixture of a solute dissolved into a solvent. Now, it's used 2 other terms that we might not know there, so let's have a look at those. Let's have a look at what a solvent is to start with. Now, a solvent in this green box here is a liquid in which a solute dissolves into. Okay, so a solute will dissolve into a solvent to form a solution. So what is a solute? Well, a solute is a substance that dissolves into a solvent to form a solution. Now, these 3 definitions are kind of the same in a way, okay? Or they're very similar at least, okay? So the solution is the product that you make. The solution is the mixture of the 2. The solute is going to be the solid thing that you dissolve into the liquid thing, which is the solvent, forming the solution. Okay, so in my example here, copper sulfate is a blue solid. Okay, a really pretty blue solid actually. I can dissolve that solute, because it's solid, into water. Okay, because I'm dissolving the copper sulfate into the water must be my solvent. Okay, when I dissolve my solute and my solvent when I dissolve the solute into the solvent, I make the solution. Now, a key thing about the solution is that they're always going to be transparent. Okay, now transparent is a posh way of saying see-through. Okay, so I can see through that solution. Now, it doesn't mean that it's always colourless. It doesn't mean that it always looks like water. They can be coloured, but they're transparent and I can see through them. Okay, let's have a look at another example then, just to try and get that cemented in our minds. So next we're going to add sugar to water to make a sugar solution. And I want to identify which of these three substances is the solute, which one is the solvent, and which one is the solution. So let's have a look at the solute first. Now the solute is going to be a solid thing that is dissolved into a solvent to form a solution. So out of the three of these substances, the solid thing that I'm going to dissolve is going to be the sugar. So the sugar is a solute because it is the substance that is going to dissolve into my solvent. Okay, let's look for the solvent next then. So the solvent is going to be something, it's going to be a liquid that I dissolve my solute into. Okay, my solute is sugar. Well, I'm going to add sugar to water is what I've said in the question up here. So water must be my solvent. So water is the solvent because it is a liquid in which a solute dissolves into, or in this case, it's the solvent that sugar dissolves into. So I guess we can probably assume which one the solution is, but let's have a look. A solution is a mixture of a solute and a solvent. Okay, and in the question, we've got our solute, which is the sugar. It's a solid thing that's going to dissolve into our solvent, which is the water. So when we add them together, we are going to make a solution, which is our sugar solution. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at the next two key terms that you need to know, soluble and insoluble. Okay, now these are associated with solutes. Okay, so solutes are either going to be soluble or insoluble. Let's have a look at the green boxes on the left. So a soluble solute dissolves in a solvent. Okay, so if a solute is soluble, it will dissolve. Okay, and that will form the solution that we've seen, which are transparent. Okay, however, solutes also could be insoluble. Now, an insoluble substance means that it cannot dissolve in a solvent. If it does not dissolve, it does not make a solution. Okay, instead, what you end up with is something called a suspension. Okay, now a suspension is a mixture of insoluble particles spread throughout a liquid. Okay, so because those particles do not dissolve in the liquid, what normally happens is they will spread out throughout the liquid, and over time, because they're heavier than the water, more dense, they will fall to the bottom and they'll collect at the bottom of the container, as you can see in this picture here. Okay, so you've still got, let's say this is water and sand, you've still got your water on the top, the sand has just fallen to the bottom. Okay, so soluble means it can dissolve in a solvent, and insoluble means that it cannot dissolve in a solvent. Now, what is key to realise though is that solutes, okay, can be soluble in some solvents and insoluble in others. So let's take table salt as an example. Okay, table salt will dissolve in water. So salt is soluble in water. However, oil is another solvent, but salt will not dissolve in oil, so it's insoluble in oil. So just because salt is soluble in one solvent does not mean that it is soluble in all solvents.